Until I see a body in literal pieces, I'm not buying it. What's up, guys? I'm here, and here we are to do a breakdown and review of chapter 402 of My Hero Academia, which is known as the chapter title's not on the first page. So, I don't actually know what it's called, but we'll get into that in a quick second. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? I was here. Fun fact, I have it on me, and I keep it on me at all times. Let's just say that All Might had it on him, and he kept it on him to the end of time. So once again, until I see it, I need to see the man eviscerated in little pieces, in pieces, in pieces, and I need to see him pop up in the vestige realm. Like, it's the only way I'm gonna buy it. Because as far as I know, Bakugo's still getting live heart surgery done on the top of UA. I don't care that it's been like half a year since that happened. It's still happening. And if he can come back from his heart literally torn out, unless I see All Might here, there, like, I don't buy it. But of course, you may be wondering, what am I talking about? Well, let's not waste any more time, and let's actually hop into it so I can tell you exactly what I'm talking about. So we open up, and we get a full retrospective flashback over all the different battles. Remember, we ended up flashing back around 20-30 minutes in time prior to the current scenario that's going on. When the All Might versus All For One battle started, we did a time jump in reverse. And with that being the case, we're getting a respective update on everything, so we get to see everybody's progress. The only progress we do not have a current status update on, I'll talk about in a second, and I wonder if we're going to get that addressed next chapter or after all. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be up in the air, but let's actually talk about it. One of the police officers, at the top of their lungs, by the way, goes, "Dabi's heat has been I was so ready to try and read that properly. "Dabi's heat has subsided. The refugees are all fine." Indeed, indeed. Shoto completed his mission. Like, he's still got to go to jail, though, right? Like, I get it. He's literally like a bicep and a torso and a head. Like, we're gonna put handcuffs on him some way, right? Like, he doesn't, if he, like, this, we're doing this, right? Like, we don't see it here. We don't see it here. But don't let the sweepy, deepy face of the youngest Todoroki child fool you. Oh, no. No. Dabi, he's still alive, and he's basically built like a chicken nugget right now. So, in my heart of hearts, being completely real with y'all, I smell jail. But still, that's nice. Todoroki, he's napping, he's resting. Obviously, we know Dabi was taken down by the combined might of the Todoroki family. And we see elsewhere, once again, the update on the battle that happened right before this one. Toga's cloning spread has stopped, and they're all vanishing too. Uraraka Ochako lies on the ground, filled with juice that's not her juice, but is her juice because of the nature of Toga's sacrifice. Here, where is it? I know I have it. There it is. Actually, I just brushed my hair out. Hats off to Horikoshi. Hats off to Horikoshi. I wasn't sure. There are some things I feel bad about with not, like, consistently being on My Hero Academia, but once again, my attention span with the series is like a goldfish. I don't know. Something I zone in, I zone out, I lock in, I lock out with my MHA. I don't know. The back half, not the back half, I say the back third of the series just hasn't really been for me, 100%. So, but I will give 100% credit for Hori on the conclusion of Uraraka and Toga. That is a fine way to get rid of that character without making Uraraka feel like a hypocrite. That's smart, because unlike the Dabi situation where he can just go to jail, like, bro can go to jail and get a therapist, it would really be like that. It would be like that. But with Uraraka, her whole thing was about not stopping Toga, but understanding her and not letting Toga just go to jail. I had no idea how Hori was going to do that without, like, making Uraraka a hypocrite and taking Toga to jail anyway, because she's literally a mass slaughterer. But having Toga slaughter herself in order to save Uraraka, who was perishing from juice loss, that's a fat brain way to get around that. So my hats off to Hori on that one. That's a creative way to do it that I didn't think of. Genuinely didn't think of. I was thinking of all 50 different ways I thought Uraraka could be a hypocrite, but no. She ended up getting saved by the person she saved, which is nice. Admittedly, it is kind of, I mean, she got, right? So technically it works out, right? Toga's indirectly, or if not directly, paying for all the harm and suffering she did. But she got to go out on her own terms where all her victims didn't. The lasting damage that Toga shall have. Innumerable. However, there is one more actually two more situations that don't really get highlighted here. One, because I suppose it isn't as important, but two, I do think it is pretty important. The first one is the Aoyama situation, but I suppose that was wrapped up within the midst of the All for One and All Might fight, and realistically, Aoyama's not on the tier of Shoto or Uraraka. Like, we're not even, I don't think anyone has deluded themselves into believing that. So that's probably why it doesn't get a mention here. But what I am shocked didn't get a mention here is the still missing whereabouts of Monoma, Aizawa, President Mike, and Kurogiri. Because the current situation that exists right now would be a whole lot better if we had an erasure user. But he's currently somewhere. They don't even mention it. And that's why I wonder when Hori's going to handle that plot line. Because once again, I don't think anything can come after Midoriya versus Shigaraki, right? Like nothing can really come after that. And the way this chapter ends, it looks like we're getting really close to that. So I think we're gonna have a cutaway next chapter. Though Millie, we are on break next week, so who knows? Maybe this will be like a palate cleanser. We're gonna end and then we're gonna cut away. Because I feel like we have to wrap up that plotline first. Because every other plotline has been wrapped up. The Todoroki family subplot, taken care of. The Uraraka subplot, taken care of. Bakugo, he hasn't been taken care of, but considering he's getting revived, it's very likely he's going to be a factor in the final fight against Shigaraki. So I could see him not getting addressed just yet. But despite how important the Kurogiri, Aizawa, Aizawa and Eraserhead are the same character, President Mike and Monoma plotline is, and how essential they are to this battle, technically, I do think we need to wrap them up first. They are not more important than Shigaraki versus Midoriya. Nothing in the narrative is. So I think we are going to get a cutaway. I'm still honestly shocked we got this wrapped up before, or at least close to wrapped up, before we got that plot line wrapped up. However, we're going to hop further into the chapter and see, what is this chapter called? I literally can't even... The Tearful Days. So we see that the ramifications of Toga's disappearance, the major one, like notably Dabi, he was a threat. He was an incident that could have reached UA, but the more active threat on UA was the Toga Twice clones. Look, this is where Monoma, Aizawa, President Mike, and them were all standing. And thusly, the Toga clones were an infinitely more active problem. Dabi was an issue. He was going to become a massive issue, but he wasn't actually, like, presently assailing the rest of the cast. But Toga was. And we see that now with the main Toga, or I guess, like, think of a dried up fruit. Anything that's dried up, that's Toga, because, gave out all the life juice to Uraraka. With that being the case, we now have all of them disappearing. In a similar vein to what happened with Twice, where they all disappeared once the main one got. So that does make sense. It is very, very interesting to see the ramifications of that. And there's another thing I wanted to mention. Yes. I wonder what it feels like if you're just one of these random Toga Twices. Because, realize the Twices do not share a hive mind. They share similar goals to some sort of degree, but they are not a hive mind. They are their own individuals for the most part. Dog. Imagine you're just a random Toga Twice living your best life trying to get revenge on those filthy, stinking heroes. And you just disappear. Because the main you had a revelation. I'd be mad. I'd be so disappointed, but hey, it'd be like that when it'd be like that, especially when it'd be like that. And we see all the Toga Twices begin to fade away. Interesting that they fade away like this, though. I'm pretty sure the original Twices, when they were destroyed, they turned like goop. they're like evaporating. So interesting. Like they're leaving. Oh, see, so it's I guess maybe the goop evaporates. Maybe I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read the original War arc and saw Twice's End. But like some are seemingly just turning into gas, others are glooping. Regardless, they are fading away, and we see that Momo was about the business, dog. Hold on a second. It's been a running thing. It's been a running theme, especially in my reviews. I don't necessarily see other MHA reviewers or MHA channels talk about it. Momo, she's pretty questionable. Like, obviously, you have the numerous cases of, like, her using illegal substances and attempts to subdue people. One for good reason. The other one, she did just try to, like, drug Midoriya. Like, that was a thing that happened. But with that being the case, she continues her streak of, like, necessary but dubious actions. Like, dog, why is she so omega strapped? Like, I get it, she's fighting multiple Toga twice. It's all with undeniably the intent to get her up out of here. But, dog, she's got a turret built out her one shoulder, what looks like a laser cannon built out another, a missile launcher built out the other. Like, dog. Momo said, I may be running out of fuel, but I'm not out of options, dog. That's crazy. Like, what's this even for? Momo, just make yourself another one. Stop making the staff or anything like that or shield. No, go crazy. But speaking of going crazy, it's wild that Momo actually was fending them all off. Like, we see these Toga Twices being overwhelm a bunch of powerful people, but Momo alone, admittedly, staying a bit strapped, Momo alone was just spraying them down. That's wild. Very, very impressive. One of her best feats in the entire series, in my opinion. And we see she was doing it for good purpose because she is currently guarding Hatsume. And she realizes that, thankfully, she no longer has to make any extra because Mei has completed UA. And the reason Mei was able to complete, or at least maintain UA's floating, is due to the fact that the Toga Twices are fading away. And thusly, a lot of that extra weight is now disappearing. Which is why I think Hori's inventing the whole... Then again, I don't know. I'm going to double check. I think maybe Twice clones always evaporated after they gooped. I don't remember. Because the weight being removed is the big reason why UA is able to float again. That's the only reason I'm putting so much emphasis on it, because it is a major plot point. Without that, if all the Toga Twices just glooped down, or say even half their mass, it's entirely possible that Mei couldn't have made UA float again. However, with that being the case, I get why this chapter has so much to do. It has so much packed in it over, I think, only like 14 or 15 pages. No spread. Is there a spread in this chapter? I don't think there's a single spread in this chapter either. So it has a lot to pack in. So I don't even blame Hori. Once again, art quality through the roof. So I can't blame him for not doing this. I do wish we got a mention of Gentle. A little bit of a mention of him. Because remember, the main reason UA hasn't hit the ground like a cataclysmic meteor is because of him. In the meanwhile, while they've gotten UA back up floating. So it would have been nice to at least just mention him. Give him like a hint of him, like, now Gentle no longer has to lift UA. Like, just a little mention of him. I know that's the Gentle bias in me. He's probably still my favorite villain in the entire series. My opinions have changed on a lot of my old tier lists, as naturally do. I am human after all. But I think that's still the case. It would have been nice to see him at least be acknowledged. You know what I'm talking about? But with that being the case, we do get to see that despite the good news of Toga disappearing, despite the good news of Dabi being shut down and not turning into a living La Bomba, the big issue is that All For One's now enraged. He can just gloop over there. And y'all, does anyone else find it weird that gloop's an actual word? Like, I don't know. Like, I know I've heard it before. Like, gloop, dog? We really glooping everywhere? Like, it doesn't even, it sounds nasty. Like, oh, what you got? I got the gloop. Like, dog, I don't want to hear that you got the gloop. Hold on. Gloop. Hold on, let me make sure it's pronounced all well and good. Gloop. The gloop. Sloppy or sticky. Semi-fluid matter. Typically something unpleasant. Mawkish sediment. Gloop. I don't know. Like, gloop as a word makes me feel how moist feels for other people. If you get what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people absolutely despise the term moist. Like, personally, I don't necessarily care about the word. It's minor stuff to me. Like, yeah, whatever. But for me, gloop is the moist. Gloop is the moist. If you ever, whenever I start going to conventions and you meet me there, if you run up and yell gloop, I may shiver a little bit. But with that being the case, All For One being in range to use Gloop quirk is a very bad thing. Because either A, he teleports over, and now Midoriya's fighting a 2v1 against two All For One users. Or B, Shigaraki gets teleported out of range, All For One takes him over again, and then All For One, who has no real reason to keep fighting Midoriya, just runs off and does his good thing. Well, actually, no, he would want to fight Midoriya still, but even still, having All For One juice up All For One inside of Shigaraki is no good. And thusly, it's very bad that he's in the range to use the Glooper. And we do get to see something that I'll admit I'm a tiny tad bit disappointed about. I do wish we got to see some of their battle on the ground. I'm not saying it can't still happen, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be shocked if it literally happened either next chapter or the moment we cut back to this fight. But that ending chapter, I forget which chapter number it was, that ending panel of Shigaraki on the ground, looking at Midoriya like this, and Midoriya with that extra elongated face and neck combs, like that was a cool image. I wish we could have got to see them fight on the ground a little bit and see Midoriya struggle to try and keep Shigaraki from touching it and just going crazy. But they're back to an air battle. Notably, this one does make more sense, though, as much as I would have liked to see them keep fighting on the ground. Fighting on the ground is not good. Realize... I was about to say Shigaraki. Midoriya is still in one-tap range. All Shigaraki needs to do is get those grippers on him. One good grip of them grippers, and suddenly Midoriya is disintegrating. And there's no in between. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's disintegrating. He has no resistance to that. That's one of the biggest reasons why I said Aizawa/Monoma being here would be super duper important, because then they wouldn't have to worry about that. It would just be Prime All Might versus someone who surpassed Prime All Might. But this isn't just Prime All Might versus someone who surpassed Prime All Might. This is Prime All Might, or someone who surpassed Prime All Might against Prime All Might, if Prime All Might has the ability to one-shot the other Prime All Might. You know what I'm saying? Like, all it takes is one grip, and suddenly Midoriya is done. So you see how he's fighting against it. You can even see Shigaraki reaching for it. Obviously, Shigaraki likely will not try to immediately activate Decay, because he wants one for all. But he's even still reaching out. It may be purely accidental. He goes in for the grip, and Midoriya starts to vaporize. So it's a rough situation right here, where Midoriya pretty much has to worry about anything, literally everything. I can't even say anything and everything, literally everything. He has to worry about his own stamina, which is not unlimited. He has to worry about any damage he takes, which he will be taking damage. He needs to worry about managing his quirks. He needs to worry about managing Shigaraki to make sure he doesn't touch the ground or escape from his grip and go attack somebody else. He needs to worry about so much right now. But realistically, all Shigaraki has to worry about is getting his hand on Midoriya. Like, bro can regenerate. Plus, I believe he has the quirk singularity now, so he can just keep adapting and keep growing. Plus, he has a billion different quirks, which he can also use. Like, it's trouble no matter what. Shigaraki, he's just having himself a good old time. Meanwhile, Midoriya is literally wholesale fighting for his life. You gotta shout out. There's no other way to put it. He is straight fighting for his life. But with that being the case, we see that now Masa goes on to say, Midoriya-kun jumped down from UA and went straight to fighting Shigaraki in close quarters. Somehow, they reached a standstill. I do wish, once again, you had to overflow. Why must you do this to me? On camera. But I get it. Horikoshi's art quality is it's such a tier above. Like I said now, with Dr. Stone done, it is the best art quality in Weekly Shonen Jump by a country mile. As much as I love art from Blue Box, as much as I love art from Sakamoto Days, as much as I love art from Undead Unluck, from Black Clover, which is no longer in Shonen Jump, so I guess it doesn't even count. It's not even in the conversation anymore. As much as I love all those art styles, Hori been different. So I understand the implicit necessity of telling rather than showing. But I do wish, in my heart of hearts, that Hori had enough gas in him to at least draw a little bit more of this. Having us told it through Naomasa is infinitely less interesting than actually seeing them come to a standstill when Midoriya realizing the dangers of keeping Shigaraki on the ground and dragging him back into the air, and seeing Shigaraki's desperation to tear Midoriya limb from limb in order to get full access to One for All. I wish we could have seen it. There are like moments where I hope the anime expands in a similar vein to how the 1,000-Year Blood War arc is adding anime only scenes. If that's a scene that gets added in the season 8 or whatever of the MHA anime, that give me that. Let me see this fight. Don't just, you can have Naomasa still say his line after the fact, but do a little bit more showing. But then again, it's so hard to animate. Once again, I feel bad for every animator who works on Record of Ragnarok and My Hero Academia. The quality standard of the art in the manga is too insanely high to remotely replicate in animation. You can get some of the best anime studios out there. You can get Mappa. You can get Studio Madhouse. You can get... That's about all I know. But you can get people of that quality. Give them a whole year to work on either anime, or even give them multiple years, because anime takes a lot of time to make. Give them multiple years to work on stuff like that, and I still think that they would struggle to animate to this quality. Like, look at the detail in this alone. The detail in this one image alone, the different levels of shading and coloration to the Black Whip, including all the breaks inside of it, the Black Whip coil going down his arms and interacting with Shigaraki in unique ways, the blending of Shigaraki's hair itself, seeing the white fade into the background of the open sky, so Shigaraki truly appears liberated, the hard, dark contrast of Midoriya, someone who's so deeply locked into the world, all the extra detail from his hair to his face to the energy that's coating him, to the details in his torn up outfit. Like, there's so much that I can't blame animators for struggling and fighting the good fight, but yeah, I want them to add more. I say all that to ultimately say, okay, I understand your struggles. Now give me more of what I desire. That's basically what I'm doing. Let's see. Getting here has been my goal. Oh yeah, the goop quirk, sorry. All for One declares, getting here has been my goal, ever since I injected myself with Rewind. Now I can give the synthetic copy of All for One to Tomura. Then, finally, he will become a stronger version of me. That's... How would you guys feel if you ceased to exist, but you, the you that is your ID, your personality, your individuality, if it all existed in somebody else's body, not even your body, like it is a completely separate body from yours? How would you guys feel about that? I don't know. I mean, once again, it builds into All For One's character, how he basically has no fear of the end at all, that he's literally willing to be erased from existence by the utilization of Rewind. But even with that, he's allowing himself to be erased from existence, but he believes he'll live on. But personally, I wouldn't like that. Like, and I know it's wrong, right? If someone were to come up to me today and say, hey, I can kind of make you immortal, you'll just incarnate in other people. The you of now will simply exist in another body. I feel like me is gone, right? Like the person who I am, all the experiences that have been carved into my flesh, they're all gone. Sure, my personality is still there, my mindset, my thought processes, my memories, my hopes, my dreams, but I don't know, I tie such an important part of myself to my physical form. Like, who I am, where I came from, what I am. It's just as much about the guy that's up here as the guy who's imbued into these hands, into my voice, into my ideology, my mannerisms, all that. All the physical part of me is so important. So I'm not sure if I would want that. Would you guys want that? That's a question for y'all. Would you want to be made immortal? The you yourself will vanish. You will disappear forever. That's essentially what All For One's saying. He's saying that he's willing to sack himself, but knowing that he shall end up continuing existing through Shigaraki. Let me know how y'all feel about that. I ain't rocking with it. But see, I'm still kicking all for one. Yo. Oh my dog. Oh my no. Oh my no. Ah, like I've been trying to make jokes, but this is actually, I think the only reason I'm so numb is because of another one of my most popular and famous manga that I read every week. I already had like all the emotion sucked out of me by something that happened in that manga. So like, maybe that's why I'm so nonchalant about it. Plus, Hori's, let's just say, lacking track record of actually executing characters, especially of the caliber of All Might. But All Might, even while almost every single bone in his body is broken, he has his own life dripping in copious amounts down his face. He is in absolute and utter agony. What does he say? I'm still kicking all for one. Not yet. I have to keep him busy. The man could have lived. He could have kept going on to inspire many more, doing something else. But no. Even in the face of what might as well be the embodiment of death itself, given human form, he's still willing to risk it all, give it all up, his very life, in order to slow down. Not even slow down. Well, yeah, it is slow down. I'm about to say, not even stop, but slow down all for one. Weaken him even more so that Midoriya can take care of him. That is a next level of determination. And we see that all for one, at least at first, is pretty much entirely indifferent. He doesn't even acknowledge All Might's call. As he says, I won't let Izuku Midoriya interfere. The process must go smoothly. So he extends his right hand, and the gloop begins to gloop about everywhere, and it bursts in this beautiful image, this beautiful silhouette of All for One's hand. The great hand and the endless circle inside of it reaches out to attempt to consume Shigaraki, as he proudly and boldly declares, "Come here, other me." And we see, in the midst of the battle, Shigaraki the goop was too thick, hot, and sticky straight from the source, so Shigaraki is a spitter and not a quitter. Oh, actually, no. He's not a spitter. Because, can I make those jokes? Shigaraki's an adult, I can make those jokes. So, he spits up a whole bunch of stuff, but Shigaraki proves he's a real champ. And from what it looks like, he literally recognizes that, oh, okay, so this is Sensei. Huh. Yeah. Nah. And proceeds to scrumdiddlyumptious. Dog. What? Like, I mean, I guess it works that way, because the gloop has always, like, you can literally see it in this earlier panel, earlier in the chapter. Like, you can see the gloop has always come out of their mouths, but to think he could just swallow it? Like, just straight... tasty. Like, dog, what? I don't know why they caught me so off guard. I was like, wow. He actually just ate it back instead of getting warped. The suction must be crazy. But dog, that's wild. However, of course, with Shigaraki just... And one of the goofiest images that Hori's ever drawn. Like, look at the bulge in his neck. When you see that All for One waves his hand off. But it's an interesting way to, like, get rid of the gloop. He's like, his consciousness has overcome mine, huh? So be it. So, that does play into the idea that All for One knew that something was wrong-esque with his new vessel, but he didn't know for sure what was going down. Once again, feeding into the idea that All for One's literally willing to sacrifice himself. The man known as All for One, the monster of 100, or literally over 100 years, he's willing to sack it all for this new vessel, for this new body. He's willing to give it all up. And that's still crazy to me. I don't know. Maybe I just put too much stock in physicality, right? Maybe I just like existing a little bit too. Well, obviously I love existing. But maybe I just hold too much of my own identity within my own flesh and blood. Maybe that's it. Because to see All for One so casually be willing to end himself. Well, once again, he's a villain. He's the villain's villain. So I suppose the concept and the existential crisis of you being who you are, no matter what form you take, is just that. He couldn't care less about the existential question. He's like, whatever, it's me. Even if it's me indirectly, it's still me. But we do get to see that All For One, while he at first ignored All Might's taunt, he then welcomes it as he says, guess we'll have to meet them in person. And he looks down on a beatered, battered, and mangled All Might. But unfortunately, for All For One, there's a little bit of a thingy here on him. And number two, the cameras are still rolling, dog. The cameras, they're still rolling. Now you may be wondering, what the heck does that matter? But with that being the case, we see that it's getting a tiny bit tragic, maybe even new panic, as someone screams, look! And we see the, not the business class students, like the, whatever, recording class students look on and see an image that disturbs so deeply. The former number one hero, the symbol of peace, who inspired heroics and quashed villainy with his very presence for literal decades, being dragged, not even like a tot, like I don't know. I'm trying to think, because I've held a lot of my baby cousins before. The last thing you do is hold them by the back of their knee. Like, the sheer disrespect that is in this motion. Like, and here's the thing, All For One's doing it on purpose. And obviously, he literally says so. But, like, just the extra degree. Hori didn't even have to say it. The reason he picked up All Might like this, despite he could have easily just dragged him by the collar, grabbed him by the throat, did anything else. The reason he did this is to make All Might look pathetic. As he says, show them how pathetic you look right now and pay for the crime of encouraging their dreams, All Might. All For One is the kind of character who does not just want to beat you physically. He does not just want to beat you mentally. He does not just want to beat you any sort of way. He wants to crumble who you are down to your very essence and ultimately drag said essence to the forefront, where he believes that ultimately All Might's incompetence will end up leaving him no more than a laughingstock, an anecdote in history. But let's just say All Might had other plans in mind, you know what I'm talking about. But with that being the case, we do get to see that All For One is not the only one playing mind games. Did you drink water today? Did you? Go drink some water. I don't care. I drink tap water. Go drink some tap water. If your tap water is safe. I know some tap water isn't potable, so. Oh no. I've been revealed. But go drink some water. Stay hydrated. I need to refill my water after this recording anyway. But with that being the case, All For One's not the only one playing mind games, as Shigaraki hops on in. Poor All Might needs your help, Izuku Midoriya. I think you should go rescue him. Then, in the meantime, I'll go back to UA and slaughter everyone who hurt me. So, Shigaraki has decided to hit Izuku Midoriya with the trolley problem. And that's what's happening. Essentially, he's giving Midoriya an option, a choice. He's like, sure, go ahead. Save your mentor, your idol, the origin of your quirk that you now use to fight me here and now. And let me tell you, the moment you do, the moment you take your eyes off me, the moment you let me go, I will go over there to that flying building and tear everyone you know and love, a new world apart. I will tear them asunder, Izuku Midoriya. So go ahead, make your choice. Yo, that is crazy. But yeah, this is the most basic form of the trolley problem. Right now, the train is barreling down the tracks towards 4 people. Right now, it is just going. Shigaraki's the train, and he's barreling on down. And now Midoriya has the choice. He could leave the lever untouched and let those 4 people be buried over, given to his past self, given to his hopes, given to his wants, his dreams of protecting and saving All Might, being the person that All Might can look up to, the one that All Might can count on, and just go save him. Because notably, this Midoriya should dookie all over All For One. But at the same time, as he moves that... Actually, wait, no, I have the trolley problem in reverse. The lever is currently barreled towards one person. The train is currently barreled towards one person. Actually, wait, no, am I? I haven't done the trolley problem in a while. It's the train is barreling towards 4 people on the tracks. The person with the lever has the choice to pull it to do what? Have it hit one person. Yeah, to have it hit one person in order to value the lives of the many. It's utilitarianism boiled down to its most basic form. And right now, Midoriya has a utilitarian decision to make. Either give in to his wants, give in to his ultimate utility, save All Might, the man he loves more than probably his own father at this point. Or let All Might go. Pull that lever. Save those 4 people. Save all the people lingering in UA. Save all of them at the sacrifice of All Might. These people he likely Claire's. These people he likely... I tried to say Claire's again. These people he likely cares... Jeez, why am I saying Claire's? These people he likely cares about infinitely less than he does All Might. He's gonna have to pull that lever in order to save them and sacrifice All Might. And you can see it. You can see it in his eyes. He knows that Shigaraki's not lying. Shigaraki is so monstrous that of course he would go over there and destroy everyone Midoriya knows and loves without hesitation. Then he would do the same to the entire world. But with that being the case, it doesn't... Let's just say he didn't have to pull the lever himself. Because we see that All For One has underestimated All Might, as he always did. And we see All Might, he's huffing and puffing. And we start to get a bunch of flashbacks. I'll use this very hand to shape my own fate. I'll be there, changing fate by your side. The 2 hands that change fate. And note which hands they are, because they'll make a comeback soon enough. We see Midoriya realize, deep in his core, deep in his heart of hearts, the tears were supposed to be gone for good, but he still had more force that he could not... Wait, what? Where am I reading coming from? But he still had to force himself not to cry. You gotta quit being a crybaby. Because he wanted to be the perfect pupil. But just now, the one for all vestige inside Midoriya said farewell a bit early. It's hitting me now. I zoned out for a second and it's hitting me now. But just now, the one for all vestige inside Midoriya said farewell a bit early. Midoriya, from a deep depth within his soul, screams, "All Might!" And you can see, despite the desperate child dreaming, desiring more than anything else to be the perfect pupil, these energy flows from his eyes. They are the tears of power, the tears of rage, the tears of sadness, the shakiness in his pupil. Everything is all there. The pain, the loss, the suffering that this will cause this poor young man. As before his very own eyes, he loses the man who inspired him to be who he is today. He is lost in hopelessness. But there's a man who refuses to go out on someone else's terms. Even without a quirk, can I still be a hero? Of course you can. because you're always doing your best, and you never gave up on your dream. I also couldn't give up on my dream of being the symbol of peace. The man is... Yo, I'm not about to cry live on camera. I refuse. Y'all ain't getting that out of me. The secret to anyone who watches 40 minutes into it, that got the pencil in My Hero Academia review. The secret to getting me to cry on command: catch me off guard and play Dearly Beloved from Kingdom Hearts. Darn near any variation of it, except for like Melody of Memories, because that's too jazzy. That'll just make me do a jig. Every other variation of that song, that'll start automatically pulling tears. But with every bone in his body broken, his very life already on the verge of ending, who knows how long ago, the man, in one last burst of effort, pulls himself up and grapples his long-held enemy with that same hand. Actually, is it the same hand? Hold on. There too. So I'll give it to both. But he grapples his long-held enemy with that same hand that shattered fate many a times before. But ultimately, there are some things that are unchangeable. Some things that need to happen. Some things that shall always repeat themselves. As we see, a One-For-All user watch on as his mentor, a previous One-For-All user, throws it all away, their very life, in order to show their faith in who comes next. And we go back to a time very long ago. All for One begins to flash back. Take care of him for me, Sorehiko. Let him see his dream fulfilled. Master! We see Gran Torino drags All Might away from the carnage and devastation that is All for One versus Nana. And we see that Nana knows there's no winning this. There never was a chance. But, of course, this is a memory of a time long past. Why is it coming up to All for One now? But we see, he realizes that ultimately, despite Nana perishing in a pathetic way, she left All for One with one final message, one final truth that held true above all others. All for One, All Might will be the one to defeat you, because Toshinori is even crazier than you. If you perish again, you are wind back to a kindergartner, right? Betting everything on it, All Might has self-detonated in order to take out All for One. Now, I need a smoother pull than that. That was too shaky. Whew. This chapter is worthy. This chapter is insanely worthy. Everything. There, I do not have a single complaint. This is a chapter where I legitimately do not have a single complaint, and it blew my expectations out of the water. It gave me visuals that I never ever thought I'd see. Seeing an idea that I thought was meant to happen from the very start of this fight, All Might literally being dragged to his end by a smiling All for One, to be used as a tool to mock Izuku Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya's pain brought to bear by the monsters that he fights now, and one of which he attempts to save. Seeing All Might's lasting determination, the lasting faith in his dream come to bear, the insanity of All Might, the insanity of a true hero brought forth, and even being foreshadowed by Nana Shimura likely 50 years ago. All of this is beautiful. So beautiful, and I love it. This was a fantastic chapter. However, if you somehow made it all the way to the end of this, leave goodbye, old friend, in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support for as low as $1 a month. Get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. And also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, and Perp Skills. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Sean, Red Wolf 4765, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, and Demix LND. I'd like to give another very big thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Ochia and iDemoComic. I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 patrons, Igneel and Calvin Elder.